Hello, how are we doing today? My name is Spectrum Dominus, and it is Wednesday, so we have another edition of What's in the Box Wednesday, episode 81. As we spoke of, we are now doing the Series 1 1989 Pro set. I did misspeak a little about this as I just went through the list, and although Michael Irvin is in the list, Deion Sanders is not in the list. So I did say that we were looking for those two cards. There are a lot of notable rookies in here that get into my notable rookie sets. There are even some of like my all-time rookies of the Hardy Nickersons and stuff that will probably get graded because theoretically they go on my Bucks wall. So there's some good stuff in here. Things I want to take for my collection. Scott Norwood and Chris Spielman and Rod Woodson. You know, there are some great players in here, just not as good as Series 2. I do need to get a Series 2 box. Series 2 box has the same number of cards in it, but there's only 100 cards in the set, and that includes Aikman's rookie, Sanders rookie, Deion Sanders rookie, a bunch of stuff like that. So we'll come out of that with multiple of some of those rookies. And then send them off and get them graded and hopefully get better than 7s, which is what we got last time. But let's not waste too much time. Today I'm breaking in my Cleveland Indians Major League Ricky Vaughn jersey. I think last week I did my Mean Machine Paul Cruz, and the first week I did my Shane Falco from the Replacements. I've got 3 more jerseys currently, and hopefully by the time I use that third jersey, I will have some more. So we'll see how it plays out. But let's get this thing opened. We're going to do this just like every other What's in the Box Wednesday when we open a what I'm going to call vintage wax box. I don't know if one would consider 89 vintage or not. It's a very loose term in my when we talk about it. Some people consider it vintage. Some people consider vintage much older than that. But when I open these old wax boxes, I guess to me, when you get away from these wax boxes, that's how I think about it. Vintage is when you're buying stuff and you're getting 36 packs and 14 packs per card, versus modern is when you had to buy a blaster box with 4 packs and 6 cards in each pack or whatever, you know, that kind of a thing. So that's, to me, that's where I break it in my head. So when we open these vintage boxes, oh, I like that. I like that they put this cardboard piece of framing in there to keep the cards, it was set there like that so that the cards weren't being destroyed. I hope that keeps them in better shape than normal. At the same time, it could have been squeezing them in from the tops and the bottoms and making it worse. We'll see. But we will be opening 32 of these 36 packs. 4 of the packs will be put to the side to be opened on our social media. I have a call in to a friend who's going to, well, I'm making an assumption that he's going to help me out. But I'm going to talk to him about the next steps, and part of those next steps would be getting a phone and starting up the business phone account again so we can get the business social media going, so I can spend some time doing all that, opening these packs, get more and more cards, because we like cards. Cards are great. All right. So here we go. We got four packs we're putting on the side. We will not be opening those. We're going to be opening these other 32. And let's get started. Oh. Oh, don't touch the cards. I still get asked about this. I still explain it to people. And I still get told a wide range of thank you for wearing gloves when you wear the cards. That makes sense, you know, etc. All the way to I never wear gloves and I get 10s all the time. What does it matter? And I understand that. I do. But especially when it's these cards, These paper fingerprint smears are not going to show up like they would with I don't have a scissor around. Oh, I do have this around though. Let's do this. There we go. I just don't want to damage the cards taking them out of the pack. We get more of these instant rule scratch-offs. That's cool. I have a ton of these scratch-offs. One day we're going to sit down and we're going to do all these scratch-offs to see if we were supposed to go to the Super Bowl or not. But here we go. We got Super Bowl. This was one of the inserts they put in that year, and it's numbered by the Super Bowl number. We could try to put that set together. I think I've got one somewhere trying to put together. I also have the coaches or the announcers set that they have in this set too. But Robert Lyle, Chuck Long, Marty Schottenheimer, Anthony Carter, Gary Clark, Howie Long, Mike Tomczak, Chris Carter, that's a rookie, and honestly that's one of the best rookies in the set in the Series 1. I do have another. I already have one of these in my send to get graded. But we'll see. We're definitely going to try to get one of those graded. Chris Carter is a great, less as an Eagle, more as a Viking in my head. But Gil Bird, Paul Gruber, there's one of my guys. That's a Paul Gruber rookie. Buccaneers rookie, probably, arguably, our first great offensive lineman. This one will be graded as well because it will go. It is one of my 7 favorite offensive linemen of all time. So that will go into my case. In fact, I'll probably go stick it. Well, nah, I won't go. I was going to say I'm probably go stick it in my case right after the break until I'm ready to grade it. But I think I'll put it up here. Otherwise, I won't remember to grade it. Mark Clayton, Mark Bavaro, Eric Martin, and Reggie Dupard. All right, the rest of these cards will be going into the team sets that will be giving the team sets away on a random basis. All right, let's put this over here, and we'll just do the knife off screen, but we'll pull it back on to actually open it up. There we go. I guess it doesn't matter if I rip these up. I usually keep the packs and stick them back in the empty box. But these are good things about these is I don't believe you could repack these. I could be wrong, but all right. Let's leave that under there for now, and then we'll put it. All right, Super Bowl XVI. Then we have J.T. Smith, Jerry Burns, Tony Castillas, Jim McMahon, Ron Stark, Sam Weish, Ron Meyer, Raymond Berry, Steve Young. I'm going to keep that. This is a Jimmy Johnson rookie card. Bill Moss, Lewis Lips, and George Seifert, and then Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker does not make my keep list, my collect list, but completely understandable if he did. The Jimmy Johnson coach rookie. I'm going to stick in notable rookies. And the Steve Young, we're going to stick in the PC. All right. Next, let's just go all the way across, take the whole thing off. That's probably the best way to do it. Safest way to do it. Slides out the top. There should be no pinching there. I cut the whole top off, you dummy. You failed. You failed cutting the whole top off. I've got to do better. Super Bowl XVII. We got Lewis Billups, Norm Johnson, Morton Anderson, Brian Brennan, Dave Cadigan, Harrison Barton, John Offerdahl, Keith Bishop, John Anderson, Hardy Nickerson. Okay, so this might be the card I'm most interested in this set. It's another one of the Bucks rookies. I mean, he's not a Bucks rookie. He's a Steeler rookie. He's one of the Bucks linebacking greats. We've had quite a few really good linebackers over the years. Derek Brooks, obviously, and Levante David. But one could argue that he is our third greatest linebacker in history. Followed by Chris Spielman, who is also a linebacker and also a rookie. It's a pretty good linebacking class here. Spielman's just going to go in notable rookies. I have no interest in grading him. And then we have Jim Kelly, Greg Bell, Alonzo Highsmith. And that was all of that pack. All right, so that's pretty good. We're only 3 packs in. And I've already gotten myself 3 cards that I want to grade. All right, let's nice. That's what happens when you cross over. And on top of it, you didn't even cut off the end like you said you were going to. Let's see if we did better this time. Nope, not even close. Now the middle is still pinned. All right, but the sides were good. I cut the sides better. Good. Getting better. It's a work in progress. We got XVII. That's the same one we got last pack. Hopefully it's not the same pack. Although I wouldn't mind a second Hardy and a second Chris Spielman. We got Fred Smorales, Tim McDonald, Lewis Billups, Norm Johnson. There we go. This is where the stack that's started. Dave Cadigan. This is the same, which means right, not here, the purple one back there. This one is Hardy Nickerson. Bam. And then Chris Spielman right after him. And then Jim Kelly. All right. Well, I'm going to sleeve and top load this Hardy Nickerson. When it's time to send, I will stick them under the magnifying glass and see, because coming back as anything lower than a 9 is pointless in that. But I will be grading them both if they both have 10 potential, because I have a friend that is not a card collector. But if I was to get a Hardy Nickerson graded rookie, and they both came back as 10, or even one came back 9 and one came back 10, I think that he would appreciate the gift. So he's the one that kind of taught me football, and he's a big Bucks fan, and so he lives about 2 hours away. We still go and we see 2 to 3 Bucks games together every year, and good friend from high school. XVII, that's one after the last one. There's a Dan Marino. That one's definitely going to the PC. Leonard Marshall, JT Smith, Jerry Burns, Tony Castillas, Jim McMahon. We've seen some of these cards. Ron Stark, Sam Weish, Ron Meyer, Raymond Berry. We saw all those, and the Steve Young. And there's the Jimmy Johnson rookie. Put those over there. Steve DeBerg and DeMonte Dawson, which is also a rookie. But he's an offensive lineman and not one that I care enough about to sleeve. But I saw the name when I was looking at the rookies. I was like, DeMonte Dawson. That name sounds. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick the Steve Walsh over there. The Jimmy Johnson. I have one. There's no reason to. Both of those are just gonna go into the team sets. Someone will get those. I don't need to. Neither of those are worth sticking under the microscope to make sure I get the better version. Both versions are pretty good shape. If the one I get is slightly less, it's never getting graded. It's never going anywhere. It's not in my collection for its resellability. So I don't really care if I keep the 9 and give away the 9.5. There's no glaring difference. Super Bowl XVI. Then we have Mike Horan, Mark Cannon, John Raid, Wayne Fontes, Scott Norwood. That's a Scott Norwood rookie. We're going to be keeping that. Aaron Cox, Robert Lyles, Chuck Long, Marty Schottenheimer, Anthony Carter, Gary Clark, Howie Long. We've seen all these guys. Got Mike Tomczak, and there's another Chris Carter rookie, which it being like the number 2 rookie in the box. We will be sleeving and top loading this one and using the magnifying glass on all 3. I feel like Shane the bartender may already have it, but he is a big Vikings fan, and Chris Carter's a big Viking great. So if I can get one of those, if I can get 2 of those at a high grade, Scott Norwood rookie going into the notable rookies. Notable because he missed the kick that gave my Giants at the time, Super Bowl 25. But yeah, I think that he would definitely be happy with a Chris Carter rookie, that he didn't have to put the effort in. That's a dupe again. This is a lot of dupes already. Aaron Jones, Mark May, Steve Puller, Sammy Winder, Marv Levy, Nico Nagna, Joe Kelly, Brian Millard, Dalton Hillard, Clay Matthews, Reggie McElroy, Jeff Fuller, Mike Rozier, Roland Jones, and 2 Ways to Win. So I've started spending a little time on eBay. I haven't really bought anything yet. I did buy 1 card, but that was actually by mistake. I didn't mean to push the bid, but I was like, oh well, it's still a good deal. But I've started logging a lot of my PC nonsense, if you will. Old Rays from the original team, the guys that I liked way back when, finding autographs and serial number cards for less than $5, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just get them. I'll put them in 1 touches, and I'll be happy with that. They don't need to be graded. Craig Bell. So we're going to get a lot, hopefully, once I get this going and decide how I'm going to do it, when I'm going to order, how much I'm going to order, or what account it comes out of, that kind of stuff. We'll start getting mailbags of me opening 2 or 3 cards at a time. Lonzo Highsmith, Gary James, Stephon Page, Alfred Anderson, Jeff Bostic, Marcus Allen, Vesty Jackson, Jerome Brown, Sam Mills, Gary Anderson, Mark Carrier, Bruce Armstrong, I believe that is a rookie, John Bosa, Joey Bosa, way back when, Jamie Morris, and there is the card we're looking for, guys. That is the number 1 card. Now, I will show you right here. There, it looks like almost like there was a water drop or something that landed on the card because it's puffed up right there. You can still see it a little on the TV that I'm looking at, but it is much more obvious in person. And because of that, I'm just gonna stick it in the team giveaway sets, because I know that the one I have is a better quality than that, and thus it's not going to get any better than a 7, so I don't need to send it. The Bruce Armstrong 244, let's just double check that is a rookie. Pretty sure it is. Bruce Armstrong. There's a group of offensive linemen from back in this time period that I'm a big fan of. Armstrong was one of them. All right, guys, that was 8, I believe. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, so we're on the 25% done. We're on the second stack of 8. This one I don't think I cut enough. Maybe. I was gonna say the corner might be, but it's not. It looks like it's good. Right. All right, Super Bowl XVII. That's like our third or fourth one of those. Don Muspar, Steve Mondo McMichael. We're gonna be looking for a rookie card of his soon, but we're not gonna search right now. Give it time to dive back down. Mike Rockenbach, Jim Mora, Ralph Malzowinsko, Bruce Hill, Ronnie Lippett, Farrell Edmonds, Lionel Manuel, David Wyman, Gary Zimmerman, Floyd Dixon, Dennis McKinnon, and Chris Hinton. Well, that was a pack. Just so I know, what year? 10th year. Wow. So he came in at like 79-ish. That may cost me a pretty penny. That's all right. We like pretty pennies as much as we like dirty pennies. We like them about 1 cent worth. Super, again, XVII. It's like the only thing in the set. Dennis McKnight, Ron Holmes, Sean Farrell, Roy Foster, Mark Collins, Tony Woods, Scott Studwell, Stacey Bailey, Dave Duverson, Chris Chandler, that's a rookie we got keep, Jackie Slater, Fred Young, John Stevens, Bubba Paris, and James Hasty. Now, Chris Chandler, I believe, unless I'm thinking of the wrong person, which I might be, was a Buck quarterback for a short time. And when I go through my top 7 Buck quarterbacks that I liked of all time, Chandler might be one of them. If it's Chandler I'm thinking of. Which makes you think, you don't even know if he was one of your... And it's like, yeah, I do. It's we got one guy. It's Chris Chandler or Chris Chandler-like. His last name is the same. And we got him from the Colts, or he was a Colt, and then he came to us, and we used him for a season or two, and I was very kind of excited about him. And when I look at the history of the Bucs quarterbacks, I'm not very excited about many of them, so... John Frank, Alan Pickett, Vance Johnson, Tim Harris, John Settle, Jamie Holland, Andre Reed, Henry Ellard, Ernest Givens, Pete Mandley, Bart Oates, Chris Dolman, Monty Coleman. Now, quite a lot of what I would call mid-carders that aren't really mid-carders. You see, with football, I wasn't as invested as I was with baseball. And if I was to the same level of football as I was in baseball at this time, a lot of those like stars that were in that pack there that we've come across, I would have had more emotional investment to, for lack of a better term, like I do with the guys at the end of my baseball list, the George Bretts and the Andre Dawsons and stuff like that. So again, that's a different one, but it's the one right after. Those are the two that are the most. So I don't have that with football. With the there was someone in there specifically. Marcus Allen, I think. Stuff like that. That it's like absolutely that guy. However, it's not his rookie, but this is his 10th year. But that's another one of my offensive linemen that he's like might be my all-time offensive lineman favorite. Stanley Morgan, Tom Rathman, Anthony Tooney, Steve DeBerg, DeMonte Dawson, rookie. Jamie Morse, Michael Irving, rookie. All right, now that one looks... Actually, it looks the same. It's got a bump right in the same spot. Not nearly as bad. We're going to sleeve it. We're going to top load it. And then I will take a look under a microscope and see if I think it's better than the ones I have, because it doesn't have to be a 10. It has to be an 8 to make it worth me sending. Ricky Natal, Daryl Talley, Stump Mitchell, and Eddie Brown. I'm just going to hit it every time. Every time hit the camera. I did not have a plan to cut it open like that. So Super Bowl XIX, I think that's a new one. Jackie Slater, Fred Young, John Stevens, Bubba Paris, Everson Walls, whatever. Christian Okoye. See, another one that's like, I probably would have collected Christian Okoye. That's a big name. Delton Hall, Joe Gibbs, Ed Too Tall Jones, Dennis Smith, Ron Wolfe, Lewis Sharp, Boomer Esiason, Paul Moyer, Ed Too Tall Jones. I see that card and it just reminds me, that was a card I collected, that specific card, because it's the only Ed Too Tall Jones cards I ever came across. And Ed Too Tall Jones was Hightower on the Police Academy movies, which I absolutely loved. In fact, I recently rewatched the whole series. I had never seen like the 6th or the 7th one. I don't, but I watched all 7 again. That was fun. I think I may do that with a bunch of series from the, early, the mid 80s and stuff. But XIX, that's the same one we just got. We got Bart Oates, Chris Dolman, Monty Coleman, Matt Millen, lots of dupes. Keith Van Horn, Randall Cunningham, Sam Corti, Vince Glenn, Harry Hamilton, Tony Easton, Eric Kumaro, Maurice Carthon, Kurt Warner, not that Kurt Warner, Jesse Solomon, and another playbook. Plenty of scratchers we're going to do when we do sit down and do that. Once I start figuring out when my streaming time is, because right now it is extremely limited. But I'm working on that. I'm working towards getting it up. Giggity. There we go again. XVII. Stump Mitchell. Jay Novacek. That is a Jay Novacek rookie, I believe. I'm pretty sure. 335. And loved me some Jay Novacek. Give me an error. Yep, that is a Jay Novacek rookie. Jason Buck, Dave Craig, Brad Edelman, Kevin Mack, James Hasty, John Frank, Alan Pickett, and Vance Johnson. All right, let's get that Jay Novacek sleeved. I was at one point about this time, exactly this time, a Cowboys fan. Now, he wasn't a Cowboy yet at this point. He was still a Cardinal. But when they drafted Troy Aikman, I tell the story all the time, guys, about how I have 3 teams. The Tampa Bay team, the New York team, and the young up-and-coming team. And when they drafted Troy Aikman, I became a Cowboys fan. That was the first team, was ever my 3rd team. I decided I wanted a young up-and-coming team thing. There's another Paul Gruber. I'm just going to let that one go. I think the other one was centering was better, I hope. Reggie Dupart, Mark Clayton, Mark Favaro, Rufus Porter, Darren Nelson, Rick Ryan, Jim Covert, Dwayne Bickett, Anthony Munoz, Pat Ryan, and Stanley Morgan. So at this point, I wasn't really a Bucs fan yet, because Troy Aikman was drafted in his cards in Series 2. The draft I don't know exactly when I knew about the cards or whatever, but it was about this time I became a Bucks fan. Sorry, that I became a Cowboy fan for a couple years. And then they won a bunch. Everyone got on the bandwagon, and I hopped to my next team. Never leaving the Bucks, never leaving the Giants. Just Brian Blades, that's a rookie. Bobby Herbert, Ernest Biner, Bobby Humphrey, Michael Carter, Rod Reyes, John Elway. I'm not even going to keep that one because of how off-center it is. See if we can find a better version. Don Majowski, I believe that's a rookie. Chuck Noll, Vinny Testaverde, Derek Burrows, Jerry Gray, Steve Brown, and Jim Arnold. That Elway is just way too off-center. Okay, well, that pack is a little damaged, I'm sure. We're going to get a lot of good rookies in that pack. Luckily, the rookies don't seem to be rare. We've gotten already 2 of the Irvings, 2 of the Carters, 2 of the Grubers, or 2 of the Grubers, 2 of the Nixons, and another one, XVII. There's a Ronnie Lott, Lindy Infantante, Lloyd Burris, Brian Hinkle, Ricky Sanders, Eugene Lockhart, Bud Carson, Bruce Smith, that's one I'll keep, Robert Awalt, David Fulcher. I am a Bruce Smith fan. Add that to my PC. All right. Ready for the biggest pack yet. All damaged. Same first card again. Pat Beach, Eric Thomas, Al Toon, Mike Wilcher, John Grimsley, Mike Kofer, Bill Parcells, Randall McDaniel, Darryl Grant, Jerry Robinson, Vi Sikahima, Dave Remington, Mike Shanahan, that's our rookie, Leslie O'Neill, Lars Tate, Fred Marion, Dan Marino, and Leonard Marshall. I'll let the Dan Marino go as we already have one, and I don't need multiple Dan Marino 1989 base cards. Super Bowl XVI. Lionel Manuel, David Wyman, Gary Zimmerman, Floyd Dixon, Dennis McKinnon, Chris Hinton, Carl Zander, Joe Walton, Garen Veris, Michael Walter, Buddy Ryan, Albert Lewis, Aaron Jones, not that one, Mark May, and a Oak. Right, there's got to be a few stars, you know, Joe Montana's and stuff that are in here that we haven't hit yet. And we got XVII. That may have taken over now as the most. We'll see. We'll do a running tally at the end. Garen Veris. It's not a running tally if you're not doing it while it's running. An ending tally, I guess. Michael Walter. This is the same pack as the previous one. At least it ended right there. Mark May. So this is new. Steve Puller. Sammy Winder. Marv Levy. Nico Noga. All dupes from previous packs. As we get towards these final packs, there aren't a lot of cards we haven't seen. There are, let's see, 14 times 36. That'd be 360 cards plus another times 4. So this for a 400 card set, 440 card set. You're gonna hit most of those. I'm just wondering if there's any rookies that I was looking for that I haven't hit yet. We'll check that in a second, but. Didn't mean to stick that over there, but that's all right. I'll get it after it. All right, so we have XVII. Same, just those two. That's it. It's just those two Super Bowls over and over and over again. Mark Lee, Mike Ken, Lee Williams, Cornelius Bennett, Jim Everett, Warren Moon, Eddie Murray, Lawrence Taylor. All right, now we're starting to get a couple like Warren Moon. Again, someone I should theoretically be collecting, but I just wasn't into Warren Moon back then. Lawrence Taylor, however, is my number 2 all-time favorite player. Hassan Jones, Darryl Green, Bill Pickle, Mike Ditka, Terry Hodges, Stacy Torin. Joe Gibbs. Oh, Mark Rippon. The Joe Gibbs is a head coach rookie card. We've gotten that. I'm not interested in it. We're looking for Mark Rippon, quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Super Bowl 26 MVP. His rookie card is in this. XVII. Gary Clark, Howie Long, Mike Tomczak, Chris Carter. There's another Chris Carter rookie. We will sleeve that again. Eric Martin, Gil Bird, Paul Gruber. We'll just put that down. Reggie Depart, Mark Clayton, Mark Bavaro, Rufus Porter, Daryl Nelson, Rick Bryan, Jim Covert. Let me look real quick at the Paul Gruber we did get. Yeah, that centering is a lot better than the other ones that I've seen. So I'm not going to... It's not perfect, but I think the one I've got here was significantly worse. Maybe not. I'm going to put that to the side and sleeve that up too. We'll use the tool and see which one we should send. I do not need to be wasting spots sending 2 Paul Grubers. As much as my Bucks friend my Bucks friend. Oh, the new one might actually be a better centered. Well, like the Hardy Nickerson, I don't think he'll care all that much about the Paul Gruber. All right. That Mark Carrier for the Bucks is also a rookie. Not that I'm really keeping it, it's just making a note. We got XVII again. Reggie McElroy, Jeff Fuller, Mark Rozier, Rolando Jones, Ken Rudigers, Chris Miller, Dan Henning, Ronnie Harmon, Leroy Irving, Bruce Matthews, that's again the rookie, Lomas Brown, Phil Simms, Kurt Lauenmilk, Dexter Manley. All right, guys. 2, 4, 6, 8. We're in the final stack. 75% of the way done. Talked about the Brian Blades being a rookie. John Taylor for the San Francisco 49ers. I haven't seen that card. I think I would take that as a notable rookie. XVII. I think it's taking the lead again. Eric Moore, Chuck Knox, Doug Martin, Scott Case, Neil Anderson, Albert Bentley, Tim McGee, Freeman McNeil, Doug Smith, Charles Haley, Randy Wright, Christian Okoye, Delton Hall, and Joe Gibbs. Rookie head coach Joe Gibbs. XVI. Nice. XVI. All right. We got Leroy Irving, another Bruce Matthews, Lomas Brown, Phil Simms, Kurt Loudermilk, Dexter Manley, Don Moosebar, Steve Mongo McMichael, Michael Rockenbach, Jim Mora, Ralph Majaska, Bruce Hill, Ronnie Lippett, and Terrell Edmonds. I'm sorry, Farrell Edmonds. Terrell Edmonds comes years later. Keith Jackson is a rookie that we're looking for still. Also Tim Brown. XVI. It's back to back. Trying to catch up. Might be a little too late. Joe Jacoby. Tim Brown. Speak it into existence. That is a Tim Brown rookie card. That is a notable rookie. And though it says second year. But it is listed as a rookie card on the site, so we keep going. Ron Rivera, Wes Hopkins, Brett Perriman, Lionel James, Donald Igabuki, Bay, Doug Flutie, Lorenzo Hampton, Eric Howard, Kelly Stouffer, Tom Newberry, Mike Gann, and Dennis Gentry. All right, we're running low. Running low on packs. Super Bowl XIX. Joe Kelly, Brian Hillard, Dalton Hillard, Clay Matthews, Reggie McElroy, Jeff Fuller, Mike Rozier, Roland Jones, Ken Rutgers, Chris Miller, Dan Henning, Ronnie Harmon, Leroy Irving, and Bruce Matthews. We're not even going to sleeve that one. It's off-centered at least enough to where I can tell it's not as good as the three that came before it. And I'm only keeping one of those three, so. All right, final 4 packs. Let's hit something good. XVI. Totally what I was looking for. Bill Pickle. I wonder if they put the rest of them in some, because we didn't get a just X, just I, just V. They're all XVI. I really expected with 30 something that I'd have at least, opening 36 packs, I'd have at least 20 different ones, but nope, doesn't look that way. Mike Ditka, Terry Hoge, Stacey Turin, Dennis McKnight, Ron Holmes, Sean Farrell, Roy Foster, Mark Collins, Tony Woods, Stott Studwell, Stacey Bailey, Dave Duberson, Chris Chandler, let's leave that up, Dave Craig, Brad Edelman. We will determine which Chris Chandler is better because, honestly, one of them may need to be graded if they're going up on the buck wall. Another XVI. Kevin Mack, James Hasty, John Frank, Alan Pickett, Vance Johnson, Tim Harris, John Settle, Jamie Holland, Andre Reed, Henry Ellard, Ernest Givens, and Pete Mandalay. We also got Icky Woods rookie that I'd like to have pulled. 2 packs left. I'm feeling like we're going to miss out on a couple of these. We might get one more of the names I've listed, or that I've said. If we're lucky. What we won't get is a new Super Bowl. Rufus Porter, Darren Nelson, Rick Bryan, Jim Covert, Dwayne Bickett, Anthony Munoz, Pat Ryan, Stanley Morgan, Tom Rathman, Anthony Tooney, Steve DeBerg, Durrani Dawson, rookie, Jamie Morris, and Michael Irving. And honestly, if I was going to get something, that would have been the one. And honestly, it's there again. It's like every one of the Michael Irvins has this little thing right there. I don't care, though. It's clearly not the same. I wonder if the other cards have it, too. And I'm just not noticing it because I noticed it for the first time badly on the Michael Irving, and now every time I look straight there to see. Oh yeah, it kind of does. Cannot see it in the picture, but it's there. Yep, now that I'm looking, they all have it. They all have that bump there. I wonder if that is from the cardboard being pushed down into the... Oh, and the Scott Norwood. We haven't pulled the Scott Norwood. That Chris Miller is a rookie, but I don't really care about the Chris Miller. All right, and then Super Bowl XVI again. Lomas Brown, Phil Simms, Kirk Loudermilk. Come on, last pack. Mojo, Dexter Manley, Don Mosbar, Steve McMichael, Mike Reyerbach, Jim Mora, Ralph Majadu, Bruce Hill, Ronnie Lippett, Farrell Edmonds, Lionel Manuel, and Dave Wyman. That was a terrible final pack. All right. So normally now I would show you the hits, and we'll get to that. But first, I want to quickly grab these, and we're going to go XVI, 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 XVI. The final 4 packs were all XVI. XVI, XVI. The final 7 packs, 6 of them was XVI. They really were trying to take it back. They may have done it. Yeah, there are only 4 different ones. XVI, XVII, XVIII, and XIX. They're not even 4 in consecutive order. That would be 56, 57, 58. Oh, yeah. Yep, they are 4 in order. 59. They're literally only those 4. 50. I'm sorry, not 50. 16 through 19 is what we got. So we've got 4 of the 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 18s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 17s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 17 holds on for the win. I wonder why there are only 4 types. Now, we do have 4 other packs that haven't been opened. And that could push someone to the win if they got multiple. But, all right, so we got a stack of cards, about double this, that are going to the team sets. Then for my PC, we got only a couple players that aren't rookie notables. So we got rookie notable Chris Chandler, Tim Brown, Bruce Matthews. This Lawrence Taylor goes to my PC. Bruce Smith goes to my PC. Then Jay Novacek, Chris Chandler, Bruce Armstrong, Scott Norwood. Oh, I did get the Scott Norwood. Okay, good. Dan Marino, Chris Spielman, Steve Young, and Jimmy Johnson. So 4 cards going to. So no Joe Montana. I don't know who else there would be. I'd have to really look to see who else exists in the product. Most of my people show up as rookies about this time and go forward, so I don't blame it too much. Jimmy Johnson, rookie. We got 2 Spielman rookies, which we're going to toss one of them. Scott Norwood. We got 2. That's a Chris Chandler goes there. We got 1 Bruce Armstrong, 1 Jay Novacek, 2 Bruce Matthews, 1 we'll toss, Tim Brown, and then 2 Chris Chandlers, 1 we will toss. And then up here, we've got Irving, Chandler, Chandler, Carter, Irving, Carter, and Nickerson. We got 2 Nickersons, 3 Carters, 2 Irvings. We really got 3 Irvings because there's one in the stack over here I may pull out just to check because they're all damaged. And 2 Paul Grubers. We have more Grubers as well, but we only need 2. So, and that's the box, guys. I'm happy with the box. I didn't pay all that much for it. It was fairly inexpensive in the grand scheme. I definitely thought there was more to it when I bought it. I was thinking that it also had Andre Rison. It also had Deion Sanders. Turns out I thought Troy Aikman and Barry Sanders were the only 2 over there. It turns out all of the ones that say first round draft pick or whatever are in that set, which makes sense, but that's not always how it is for sets. So I was unaware, and I made the wrong call. I should have spent the money on 2 Series 2 boxes, which would have been significantly more, but what I was looking at the same time. So I went this route because it was cheaper, and when you go cheaper, you get cheaper cards. It's understandable, but I can't be upset. I got another chance at beating my Michael Irvings. I think I have a 7 and 2 6s, or I have 2 7s and a 6 or something like that, or maybe they're all 7s and then the Deion Sanders are 6. I don't know exactly, but they're not good. So hopefully we can get a better grade on one of those. Get the Chris Carter graded for me and for Shane. Get the Paul Gruber graded for my wall. There's a lot in here that's usable for up here and what's going on. So we'll be seeing that soon. As far as next week goes, I did order some product already, but just for next week. I haven't ordered past that. It is DC superhero cards. So we'll be doing non-sports next week, assuming they come in. I've paid for them. I haven't gotten an update, so I'm going to look into that today, see if I got any notifications on it, and then if they come, which hopefully they will, I will be opening that next week. If not, I will run to the store and pick up a couple blasters of something modern and throw some stuff up on that board. So I'll see you then. Put any questions or comments in the comments down below, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.